chosen one, pause for a moment, and do not allow the disturbances around you to carry you away, because there is a hidden part within you, recognizing that this message is touching the very thing you have silently carried for so long. The moment these words appeared before you, you may have felt your heart begin to slow, as though amid the countless sounds of life, a gentle voice were inviting you to pay attention. That feeling does not need to be loud or overwhelming. Sometimes it is only a brief stillness, a breath deeper than usual, or a quiet prompting that makes you unwilling to leave too quickly. I have not come to frighten you, nor do I want you to be swept away by distant promises. I only want you to remain still long enough to hear what exhaustion, anxiety, and the hurried rhythm of life have concealed. You have endured too much, and you do not need to continue pretending that you are completely fine. There were times when you believed you had merely encountered a timely reminder by chance. But in truth, the deep need within your heart caused you to stop. I was near you during the days when you could not recognize that presence. When you walked along uncertain roads, when you had to make decisions without knowing the outcome, and when it seemed that everyone was so occupied with their own lives that no one could see your battle, you were never abandoned. You may not have heard a clear voice or witnessed an extraordinary sign, but you were sustained through very ordinary things. A little strength appearing at precisely the right moment, someone unexpectedly speaking the words you needed to hear, a door closing to protect you from what was unsuitable, or a morning when you were still able to rise, even though the night before you believed you had no strength left. Heaven's companionship does not always appear through astonishing miracles. Often, it is found in the fact that you are still here, still capable of loving, and still have not allowed your wounds to turn you into someone cold. I know you have tried to appear strong before everyone. You often chose silence when you wanted to say that you were tired, because you feared others would consider you weak or burdensome. You smiled when your heart wanted only to sit down and weep. You said that everything was fine because you did not want anyone to worry, even though countless unanswered questions remained within you. At times, you became the support everyone depended upon. But when you needed a shoulder yourself, the room became painfully quiet. You organized your confusion alone, wiped away your own tears, reminded yourself to continue, and forced yourself to rise after experiences you never told anyone about. Others saw you still working, speaking, and fulfilling your responsibilities, so they assumed nothing was wrong. But I saw the part of you hidden behind that calm appearance. I know there are wounds that have never been properly named, fears you have tried to lock away, and disappointments buried so deeply that even you sometimes refuse to touch them. Not one of your silent tears has been meaningless. I saw the nights when you turned your face toward the darkness so that no one would hear you sobbing. I saw you pick up your phone and then put it down again because you did not know whom you could call. I saw the moment you stared at the ceiling and wondered how much longer you would have to keep trying. There were days when you wanted only to rest, but responsibility continued calling your name, so you rose again and moved forward with the little strength you had left. I do not condemn you for being tired. Neither do I require you to be courageous in a way that never allows tears. True strength is not found in concealing every emotion. It is found in the honesty to admit that there are days when you need help, limits that must be respected, and burdens that must be laid down. Beloved child, The prayers you once whispered in confusion have not been forgotten. Sometimes you prayed with only a few words, because you no longer had the strength to say more. Sometimes you simply sat in silence and allowed your tears to speak. Sometimes you did not know what to ask for and only hoped that tomorrow would feel a little lighter than today. I listened not only to the words you spoke, but also to what you were unable to express. I know you longed for peace, but continually faced instability, longed to be understood, but repeatedly received indifference, and longed for rest, while your mind continued calculating matters concerning work, family, and the future. What you need now is not another pressure demanding that you become more perfect. You need gentleness, room to breathe, and a safe place where you can stop playing the role of the strong one and return to yourself. Therefore, I am reminding you not to continue carrying everything alone. Not every burden that appears before you belongs to your responsibility. Not every sorrow of another person requires you to repair it. Not every judgment deserves many nights of your attention. You have become so accustomed to placing everyone else first that you have forgotten to ask what you need. I want you to learn how to establish healthy boundaries without guilt. You have the right to refuse what depletes you, to leave a conversation that causes harm, and to take time to rest without providing endless explanations. Kindness does not mean allowing others to continually violate your limits. Compassion does not require you to remain in places that destroy your peace. Sometimes the most loving choice is to step back so that your heart has room to recover. Remember that rest is not surrender. Slowing down does not mean that you are falling behind. A well-timed pause may protect you from months of exhaustion. I want you to care for your sleep, nourishment, and practical needs with respect. If you have tired for a long time, or if your body continually gives you signals that cause concern, seek suitable support rather than suffering silently. Speaking with someone trustworthy or consulting a qualified professional does not make your faith smaller. It may be part of wisdom and a way of honoring the life you have been given. I do not want you to turn pain into a trial you must endure for as long as possible. I want you to heal through practical, patient, and loving steps. As you begin laying down what you no longer need to carry, you will notice more room within yourself for peace. Your circumstances may not change immediately, but the way you face them will no longer be the same. You will stop blaming yourself for things beyond your control. You will no longer pursue recognition from people who never valued you. You will learn to look upon yourself with greater compassion, knowing that you do not need to accomplish something before becoming worthy of love. I do not measure your value by the number of times you forced yourself to rise without complaining, the number of tasks you completed, or the number of people you pleased. I see your perseverance during difficult days, the kindness you preserved after being wounded, and the courage you showed by continuing to believe that your life could still change. My child, heaven has heard you, but the answer may arrive through gentler paths than you imagined. It may come as the courage to admit that you are not well, the discernment to leave something that is wearing you down, or the decision to forgive yourself for not being strong at all times. The answer may also come as someone appearing with sincerity, an opportunity allowing you to begin again, or a peace that gradually grows after many chaotic days. Do not underestimate small changes. A healing heart does not always awaken after one night and suddenly feel no pain. It heals little by little Each time you choose rest instead of forcing yourself, honesty instead of concealment, and hope instead of concluding that everything has ended. Therefore, remain in this stillness a little longer, beloved child. Breathe deeply and allow your shoulders to relax. You do not need to solve your entire life today. Neither do you need to prove your worth by enduring more. Everything you have experienced has been seen. Every word you could not speak has been understood, and the tears you once concealed never fell in complete loneliness. You have walked for so long that you forgot you also have the right to be supported. Now I want you to remember, you have never truly been alone, and you do not need to continue fighting as though no one were beside you. Lay down what is too heavy, open your heart to help, and continue with a gentler rhythm. Your coming season does not need to be built upon exhaustion. It may begin with peace, restoration, and trust that you are still being led toward a place of greater light. You have spent too many years believing that you were merely trying to survive. But the truth is that I quietly sustained you through places your own strength could never have carried you across. You looked back upon difficult years and called it resilience. You assumed you survived because you were strong enough, stubborn enough, and accustomed enough to pain. Yet, beloved child, there is a deeper truth you have never fully understood. There were roads you did not walk alone. There were nights when you believed you were about to collapse, yet the following morning you still rose. There were times when you had no reason left to hope, yet a very small light continued burning within you and urging you to take another step. This was not accidental. I was there, holding you when your knees trembled, placing strength where you believed everything had been depleted, and protecting you from things you still do not fully see. You often call your ability to sense things intuition, but many times it is the spiritual sensitivity I placed within you. You enter a place and immediately recognize that something in the atmosphere is not right. Even before anyone speaks, you meet someone and sense the sorrow hidden behind their smile, even though they are trying to appear normal. Certain decisions may look completely reasonable from the outside, yet deep within you, a gentle warning tells you to slow down. There are also paths no one else believes in, yet your heart remains drawn toward them with a peace you cannot explain. You once doubted these perceptions and assumed you were too sensitive, thought too much, or were too easily affected by the emotions around you. But I want you to understand that sensitivity is not a flaw. It is an ability that must be trained, protected, and placed under wise guidance so that you are not carried away by every emotion, but can recognize what truly deserves attention. I also know how often you have carried things that did not belong to you without understanding why. You met someone who was suffering and carried their heaviness home. You heard a sorrowful story and remained burdened for days. At times, you awakened with an urge to pray for someone, even though you did not know what they were facing. You frequently felt responsible for protecting, encouraging, or keeping everyone at peace, even while you yourself were tired. You assumed it was merely a habit of worrying, but in many moments you were responding to a calling to serve that had been present within you from an early time. Yet I do not want you to misunderstand and believe that you must save everyone. You were not given responsibility for carrying the entire world upon your shoulders. I only want you to know when to support, when to listen, and when to return those burdens to me. Empathy is a gift, but without boundaries, that gift can exhaust you. You have passed through battles no one else could see. Outwardly, you still completed your work, answered ordinary questions, and tried to smile. Inwardly, however, you fought against despair, old memories, feelings of abandonment, and the fear that you would never find a place where you truly belonged. Sometimes you could not understand why something small left you so depleted. You blamed yourself for being weak, without realizing that you had been fighting in silence for too long. On certain days, you were not only facing present difficulties, you were also struggling with unnamed wounds, old words that continued echoing, and emotional burdens absorbed from others. I saw all these things. I do not condemn you for being tired, nor am I disappointed when you need to stop. Your rest is not failure. It is the way I restore the parts of you that have been working for too long without care. This is also why people so easily come to you and share what is in their hearts. They may not be able to explain why they feel safe beside you, but they recognize a rare capacity to listen. You do not merely hear their words. You also sense what they are trying to conceal. You know when someone's statement that they are fine is actually covering a collapse. You recognize when a person needs someone to sit beside them rather than receive more advice. But, beloved child, remember that another person's trust does not make you responsible for every decision they make. You can become a place where they are heard, but you are not the anchor responsible for keeping them from every storm. You may show the way, but you cannot walk their portion of the road for them. Learn to give with love without emptying yourself. Because I did not call you to become an endless source, I called you to lead others back to the source that never runs dry. For a long time, heaven has seen things within you that you never recognized. You saw only sensitivity, while I saw discernment. You saw only lonely years, while I saw a season of training in which you learned to hear the voice of peace amid many chaotic sounds. You saw only how frequently you were misunderstood, while I saw you being taught not to build your worth upon the approval of the crowd. You saw only rejection, while I saw unsuitable doors closing to protect you from places that would have worn away what was precious within you. What you called delay was often protection. What you called not belonging may have been evidence that you had not yet entered the right community. What you called overwhelm was sometimes a reminder that the time had come to stop embracing every pain that did not belong to your responsibility. You often sense certain things before they become clearly visible. But I want you to receive this ability with humility rather than fear. Do not assume that every feeling of unease is a warning, and do not treat every intuition as absolute truth. You must learn to distinguish between peaceful guidance and the echoes of former wounds. Guidance from me does not force you into panic, cause you to distrust everyone, or keep you in a constant state of defense. It brings clarity, caution, and inner steadiness, even when you do not yet possess every answer. Therefore, when you feel something strongly, pause, breathe, observe, and wait for confirmation through time, circumstances, and wise choices. Spiritual sensitivity was not given so that you would live in fear. It was given so that you could walk with greater discernment. Today, I no longer want you merely to hear quiet truths about yourself and continue doubting them. The time has come for you to recognize that your previous journey was not simply a series of meaningless struggles. You were trained under pressure, taught compassion through suffering, and shaped so that you could stand near those who are broken without looking down upon them. These experiences do not give you the right to become proud. But they do give you a responsibility. You must use your depth to heal rather than judge, to guide rather than control, and to bring peace rather than prove that you are exceptional. A great calling is not measured by how many people admire you, but by how you steward what I place in your hands. When no one is watching, you did not encounter these words by accident. This is the moment when you need to awaken from your former way of seeing yourself. You are not weak merely because you have often been tired. You have not failed merely because you sometimes need support. Neither are you strange merely because you feel things more deeply than others. But from today onward, you must learn to live with greater balance. Sleep enough, care for your health, protect your peace, and stop taking pride in enduring beyond your limits. Do not call exhaustion faithfulness. Do not regard self-neglect as noble sacrifice. Someone I intend to use for a long time must know how to pause, recover, and receive care, not only how to give. Your body is tired, not because you are useless, but because your inner life has been active for too long without genuine rest. You listened to too much pain, carried too many responsibilities, and tried to remain strong through too many seasons. Now I invite you to lay down what you were never called to continue carrying. Allow me to heal the weariness ordinary encouragement cannot reach. Permit yourself to be quiet without guilt, to say no without offering endless explanations, and to leave environments that continually take but never restore. I did not bring you here so that you would continue exhausting yourself in the name of a great calling. I am awakening you so that you may know who you are, understand what truly belongs to your responsibility, and learn to walk with me, instead of attempting to carry everything alone. Beloved child, I did not cause you to pause in this moment merely to soothe your emotions temporarily. I am stopping you from taking another hasty step in order to protect what required so much time to build. There are moments when a word spoken from a wounded heart can disturb the peace you spent many months preserving. An impulsive reaction can draw you back into cycles from which I helped you escape, while an unnecessary explanation can unintentionally return access to your life to people who are no longer permitted near its deepest places. Therefore, the prompting to remain silent does not mean your voice is unimportant. I am teaching you that speaking is not always strength, and not every misunderstanding requires you to correct it. I know there are words you have wanted to say for a long time. You want others to understand that your intentions were never harmful, that you tried harder than they could see, and that your decisions were not made coldly. You prepared countless answers within your mind and imagined conversations in which everyone finally understood you. But, beloved child, true peace does not come from everyone agreeing with your story. Some people have already decided to view you through their own wounds, fears, and prejudices. No matter how gently you explain yourself, they will hear only what fits the conclusions they already carry. If you continue spending your strength trying to persuade those unwilling to acknowledge the truth, you will lose the energy needed to enter your new season. I am stopping you not so that you will withdraw forever, but so that you will not place your precious voice in environments interested only in argument. There will still be times when you must speak, establish boundaries, and defend what is right. Yet when that moment comes, your words must be born from clarity rather than anger, from steadiness rather than the need for recognition. I am teaching you to wait until emotion settles before deciding. and to distinguish between a word that must be spoken and a word that merely wants to escape your chest to relieve pressure. Intentional silence is not weakness. Sometimes it is the door that prevents you from returning to a place where you spent years losing and then rediscovering yourself. Recently, your mind may have become overwhelmed more quickly, your patience may have been tested more easily, and memories you believed had settled may have suddenly returned. A small statement can touch an old wound. A familiar attitude can remind you of days when you were disrespected, abandoned, or forced to continually prove your worth. Do not quickly conclude that you are becoming weaker, or that all your previous healing was useless. These things do not always rise to draw you backward. Sometimes they appear so that you can recognize how much you have changed. In the past, you might have reacted immediately, sent emotionally charged words, or returned to an argument merely to obtain justice. Now, even when emotion rises, you are beginning to pause. That small pause is evidence of growth. Provocation often becomes strongest when you are preparing to leave a former version of yourself behind. When chaos cannot make you abandon the journey completely, it will attempt to distract you. It wants you to spend your time in conversations that produce no result, become exhausted, defending yourself before people who have no intention of understanding, and begin doubting yourself because of a few judgments. But I am placing awareness within you. Whenever you recognize yourself being drawn toward a familiar reaction, slow down, breathe, observe, and ask whether what lies before you is truly worth your peace. You do not need to respond to every provocation. You do not need to enter every battle simply because your name was mentioned. Honestly name what is happening within you. You no longer want to explain yourself repeatedly. You do not want to continue defending motives you know were sincere. You are no longer interested in conversations centered only upon judgment, gossip, or finding fault with others. Environments in which you once remained for hours now exhaust you very quickly. A part of you may worry that you are becoming distant, unapproachable, or losing the passion you once had. But there is nothing wrong with you. You are simply no longer aligned with the emotional chaos you once regarded as normal. This change is not making you cold. It is helping you value stability. You are beginning to understand that not every conversation needs your opinion. Not every accusation requires a response, and not every relationship must be saved at any cost. Where you once reacted immediately, you now know how to wait. Where you once rushed to defend yourself, you now observe the motives of the other person. Where you once explained every detail in the hope of being understood, you now preserve private matters for those who are genuinely trustworthy. This is not withdrawal from life. It is wisdom taking root in the way you walk. I want you to pay attention to your energy in this season. It no longer seems endless because you have understood that time, attention, and peace are precious. You cannot continue giving them to anyone simply because they demand them. Some people approach only to provoke a reaction, not to seek reconciliation. Some conversations repeat the same cycle, no matter how many ways you have explained yourself. Some environments require you to diminish yourself, pretend you were not wounded, or continually adjust so that others feel comfortable. I am leading you out of those places, not through bitterness, but through a clear awareness that you are permitted to protect the peace that cost you so much to regain. You may feel that you are in a period of separation when the number of people you desire to remain close to has decreased, and your need for quiet has grown. Do not regard this as punishment. This distance is helping you hear more clearly, see more deeply, and recognize what must accompany you into the future. I am placing protection around your transition, because what is still being formed can be easily affected by noise, doubt, and advice arising from the fears of others. Not everyone needs to know what you are preparing. Not everyone who knew you in the past has the right to enter your new chapters. Familiarity does not automatically grant access. A wrong reaction may require additional time to repair its consequences. But a calm answer can help you move forward without carrying another burden. Sometimes the right answer is only a short, clear statement without malice. Sometimes the right answer is to leave the room, turn off your phone, or leave a message unanswered until you are genuinely calm. At other times, silence itself is the complete answer. This is not because you have nothing to say, but because you recognize that the other person is not seeking truth. They only want you to return to the easily provoked version of yourself, so that they can continue controlling the emotional rhythm. Beloved child, this is not the season in which you must prove who you are. Those who understand you will not require you to continually present evidence of your heart. Those who are determined to misunderstand, you will not change merely because you speak another 1,000 words. Therefore, instead of depleting your strength defending an old image, use that energy to care for the new person being formed. Protect the good habits you have recently built, the confidence you have rediscovered, and the boundaries you struggled so greatly to establish. Do not return to places that made you feel small, merely because others call your growth selfish. Do not tear down healthy barriers, simply because someone no longer has the freedom to enter your life as they once did. I do not want your heart to become hardened, but neither do I want your kindness to continue being used as an unlocked door. You can remain compassionate without accepting disrespect. You can forgive without restoring an unsafe relationship. You can desire good things for someone without returning them to a position from which they can wound you. Maturity is not only knowing how to love, it is also knowing how to love with boundaries, how to help without losing yourself, and how to leave without nourishing hatred.